live.
Okay, I think we're live now. All right, so Ananya, you can start sharing the screen. Okay, just a heads up in the chat if everyone can see my screen and can hear me too. All those who are here, just let me know by the chat that that I'm visible and you can hear me properly, as well as you can see the screen right now. Okay, so I think we're good to go. So good evening, everyone. Welcome to our initiative called Chat with TISSians 6.0, Do, Dare, and Dream. And this is the sixth session of our initiative. And through this session, we've been able to interact with many of you aspirants, and you've reached out to us with your queries regarding the upcoming exam, TISSNET. And it has been a pleasure to be able to tell you and give you a glimpse about what life at TISS looks like once you make it here. So let's quickly get on with our webinar. So starting with a brief introduction about myself. So my name is Ananya, and I hail from Lucknow. I did my graduation in BCom Honors from Shahid Bhagat Singh College, Delhi University, post which I worked for a year at EY as an assurance associate. I developed my interest for pursuing human resource management, and this was definitely a #1 priority for me with the kind of legacy it has for this course. So I aspired to join TISS last year. I was an aspirant like you, and finally I made it to my dream course called Human Resource Management and Labor Relations. And I also have with me one of my batchmates, Mani. Mani, if you could please introduce yourself.
Hey everyone, good evening. My name is Mani Kaul, and I completed my graduation in psychology from Jamia Millia. I reside in Noida, and my interest developed with respect to human resource management during my undergrad days while pursuing my undergrad degree in psychology, because psychology has an element of organizational psychology and industrial psychology. Therefore, my interests allied with this course, and thus here I am in this Dream Institute. That was from my side. Now, Ananya, you can take over.
Yeah, thank you so much. Firstly, thank you for the heads up on the chat that you can that I'm properly visible and audible. So let's start with the webinar quickly. Moving on to the next slide. Okay, so what is TISS? I'm sure all of you know about Tata Institute of Social Sciences, but let me tell you about its root and its very foundation. So TISS was established in the year 1936 as Sir Dorabji Tata Graduate School of Social Work. TISS is present across 4 cities, namely Mumbai, Tuljapur, Guwahati, and Hyderabad. And across its broad umbrella, it offers 111 courses. So you get a huge interdisciplinary exposure under various schools. Coming on to the program HRM and LR, it is offered at the Mumbai campus. Thirdly, coming on to the Sir Dorabji Tata Memorial Library. Now, this library is present at our campus, and it offers the best-in-class facilities and resources. And having gone through my first semester, I can vouch for it that it's been our go-to resource, be it for our fieldwork research that we wanted to do or related to any assignments or presentation. So this library has been a saving grace, and although we've been accessing it in the online mode, but nonetheless, the resources are of extreme value, and they've helped us a lot during our tenure. The fourth point, coming on to the ratings. So TISS has been rated grade AAA with a score of 3.89 out of 4 by NAC 2016. Next slide, please. All right. So the course HRM and LR. So we are the students of the course Human Resource Management and Labor Relations. So let me tell you about what is actually unique about this course. So I think in today's time, when we live in a VUCA world, which is comprised of extreme volatile situations, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity, it's extremely important for business leaders to not just have a business acumen, but to also be socially sensitive. And I think here, TISS plays a very important role because it not only grooms us into effective business leaders, but it ensures that the students that graduate from here are extremely sensitive to the societal needs, and they understand people very well. Because in order to become an HR professional and to become, to lead a company, your decisions impact a wide variety of masses. So it's equally important to not just have business acumen, but to understand the impact of your decision, which actually affect a wide variety of masses. So herein, this course, its pedagogy, it's designed in such a manner that it will groom you into not just professionally competent business leaders, but people who are socially aware as well. So coming on to the next slide now. Yes. So when we talk about TISS, so like I mentioned, that the USP of TISS is that it focuses a lot on hands-on learning, and there is a special focus on EBM, which is evidence-based management. Now, how TISS offers such hands-on learning, that continuously complements your classroom learning is by a wide variety of programs. Now, number one, in our pedagogy, we have foundation courses. Now, in foundation courses, you study under two broad topics. Number one, namely the ideas of India, and the second, developmental challenges of India. Now, in these courses, you get an exposure into how India has evolved over time, what has been the challenges, and you have in-depth discussion with seasoned faculty who acquaint you with a lot of socio-economic realities of India, which help you to understand the ground realities, help to develop perspective, which will later integrate when you take up on your career and your professional journey. So I think during our first semester that has just gone by, these courses really helped me to broaden my horizon and think from the other's perspective, and to be acquainted with the ground realities, which I wasn't aware till now. And I think I will carry these learnings eventually when I also, step up into my professional corporate journey. Coming upon to the fieldwork, I think this is one of the most unique USPs that TISS offers, and I think this is something that segregates this program HRM and LR from all other courses in the country. The best part is that in the course of these 2 years, you get to do a fieldwork internship in every semester. Now, we have two kinds of fieldwork internship. Number one is the block fieldwork, wherein you study for the first 5 months. You have normal classroom academic learning, and in the last 1 month of the semester, you get to apply these learnings in an organization, and you get to intern with them in the 6th month. So imagine that you are continuously having practical exposure along with your classroom learning. And this is not just that it happens for one semester. You get to become a part of 4 different organizations in the course of the 2 years, because you're interning with an organization in every semester. So when you graduate from here, you actually have an experience of 5 different organizations, 4 as part of your fieldwork internship that happens every semester, and 5th one is a summer internship. I think I'm sure all of you are already aware of the summer internship part, because that is an element which is common to all B schools. But here, when TISS students have an edge here, is these internships that they get to do in every semester. So when you graduate from here, you actually have an experience of total 6 practical experiences when you graduate from here, of 6 months of experience, 4 from your fieldwork and 2 months of your summer internship. Also, our faculty, they allot these organizations in such a manner that they ensure that you get to do these internships in different industries altogether. for example, if in my first semester, if I did an fieldwork internship in an FMCG organization, in the second semester, they would allot me an industry such as a pharmaceutical or a manufacturing concern. Now, these really help a student to understand HR on a much holistic level and to see its challenges in wide variety of industries. So you're much better prepared to take up a professional journey, because that might be in any sector. Because now you have an understanding of how HR functions across different industries and organizations. So this is one of the very unique USPs about the fieldwork courses. Coming upon the dissertation part that we have now, our curriculum is a research-based curriculum. So our college gives us the liberty to deep dive into any of our subject of our choice and do a research around it. The best part is that the topic that you choose needs not be from the School of Management only. You can choose the topic from a wide variety of the courses that you have here at TISS, because at TISS you have various other schools in the form of social work or disaster management or mental health. So, for example, if there's anyone who has a lot of interest on mental health, so he or she can take up his dissertation on that topic, and you will have a faculty who is an expert on that topic, and he or she will be assisting you in completing your research around that topic. So in this way, you really get to strengthen your understanding on a topic that really interests you and deep dive into it properly. Another thing, coming on to a very interesting aspect of our curriculum is the Rural Immersion program and an NGO stint. So in the last semester, basically you get to become a part of a 1-week rural immersion program in which you get to understand the realities at the rural areas, interact with the people which belong to different socioeconomic backgrounds, you understand the realities at ground, and even offer suggestions that you think that can better their surroundings or help them lead a more better life in a nutshell. Now, this experience comes really, really handy if you take up, a plant role in future as an HR, because there you are in constant touch with all kinds of people, and you need to negotiate things and understand their problems very, very well for that matter. So such an experience with a rural immersion program or an NGO stint really helps you and gives you that exposure to understand people on the ground and to know what are the challenges that they are facing, and to acquaint yourself with diverse cultures and people from different backgrounds. So that's a very great thing that we have as part of a curriculum itself. Coming on to the international exchange program. So here, this allows students from India to pursue courses abroad. Similarly, people from outside, including foreigners, NRIs, and PIOs and OCIs, they get to become a part and study and pursue course here at TISS. For this, you just need to give an online exam, which is followed by a PI. One important thing to note in this is that a GMAT score is mandatory to be able to apply via this route. So this is, in a nutshell, is the kind of pedagogy that we have here. And I think the things I've mentioned must have clearly showed you that how we really proclaim ourselves when we say that we offer an evidence-based management, because you get that kind of exposure, that practical experience, which is continuously being complemented with your classroom learning, which is, I think, very essential if you want to become an effective HR professional. So let's move on to another slide. All right, so the opportunities that you get at TISS. Now, I don't know how many of you are aware about, because it's not very frequent to be exposed to case competitions at the undergrad level. But here, when you take up your course here, so you get to participate in a lot of case study competitions. Now, what these case competitions are essentially are, so leading organizations that you know of, like very well-known organizations, they offer real-time business challenges and scenarios which they are facing in their businesses from time to time, and they want to know the students' perspective, fresh perspective, that how can they solve these these incumbent business challenges. So TISS is eligible to participate in a lot of these case study competitions that are given out by leading organizations. And you, when you actually take part in them, you actually end up brainstorming and really applying your classroom learning in the context of the organization. So it really strengthens your overall learning. And needless to say, as you can see on the screen, that we've mentioned some of the competitions that we won till now. That includes Myntra Style Biz, Asian Paint The Conundrum, HUL Nutcracker. So this is just a very small gist of the competition that we won till now. And trust me, TISS actually holds its position as an institute which actually wins a number of these HR competitions. And the best part is that these competitions are not open for all colleges. These companies are very selective in terms of the campus that they want to take these case competitions to. But because of our curriculum, the kind of education that we have here, companies trust us in a manner that we can provide them the best of solutions. And TISS is eligible to actually participate in all these leading case competitions that you can think of in terms of that come up in the industry. All right, so moving on to the next slide. So as you can see on the screen, we've mentioned about some of our fieldwork recruiters, and these names do not really need an introduction at all. And just reiterating that I mentioned in the start that you get to become a part of 4 different organizations by the means of your fieldwork when you graduate from here. So you can imagine the kind of names that you will be associating yourselves through the means of your fieldwork, and in your resume, the names that would come up for a practical experience. So you can see the industries that these organizations belong to. We have FMCG, we have organizations from consulting, we have conglomerates, even some of the startups that have done really, really good. So I think we can move to the next slide now. All right, so coming to the most interesting part, and I think people who are live right now would be really willing to have a glimpse at this. So these are the placement statistics for the batch of 2021. We had a total number of 36 recruiters that took part in the placement season. And this was merely for a batch of 70. So you can clearly see the ratio of 1:2 that we have here. The number of PPOs offered were 22. When I say PPOs, I mean pre-placement offers. So when you get to do the internship after your first year, and if you perform exceedingly well, and the companies really like your work, so they are willing to offer you a full-time opportunity to take up a job role once you graduate from here. So even if you're just 1 year into the course and you have done exceedingly well, the organizations trust you and they offer you a full-time role that you can take up post completion of your program. Coming to the median CTC, it was 19.8 lakhs per annum. The average CTC was 19.62 lakhs per annum, and the highest CTC was 29.32 lakhs per annum. Please note, these figures are for the internship span of 2 months. Now, you can clearly see that there is hardly a difference between the median CTC and the average CTC, which kind of will give you an idea that here people almost get an offer of a similar level, and not much difference is there between the highest and the lowest package offered. I think we can move to the next slide now. All right, so coming to the final placements recruiters that we had on board for the batch of 2021. Again, biggest names in the country that you can imagine, even geographically or demographically. These names are well known, and I'm sure even at this point of time, when you people haven't enrolled yourself in a college, many of you will be still aspiring to be able to become a part of these organizations. So these are you can have a look at these names which are displayed on the screen. Needless to say, biggest names in the country that we have right now. Moving on to the next slide. Summer placements. Now, these statistics pertains to our batch itself, that is the batch of 2021 to 2023, of which we are a part of. So our summer recruitment process got wrapped up few months from now, and the average stipend that was offered was 2,34,861. The median stipend that was offered was 2,40,000. The highest stipend that was offered was 3,30,000. This was actually a record season for us, and it was actually record breaking as compared to all the summer placements that we've had till now, because this time there was an increase of a 20% increase in the median stipend, which is a huge figure. So, and total number of recruiters that we had on board were 38. All right, so I think we can move to the next slide now. Okay, so coming on to this slide shows the summer placement recruiters that we had on board. We had HUL, we had Reckitt, Colgate, Deloitte, Flipkart, ITC, Marico, ABG, RPG, General Mills, Nivea, Google, Reliance, Tata Steel, Citi, Dr. Reddy's, Intel, Accenture. I think I can just go on and on with the names, but you already have it in front of you. So we've been very fortunate that these organizations, these prestigious organizations, they come to TISS for summers, and these are the names that you can really, you really aspire to join for your corporate careers. So yeah, moving on to the next slide. Okay, so I think Mani can take it on from here.
As my friend Ananya gave you a brief introduction and took you in depth into the insights of TISS, now I'll come on to the Alumni Network portion. So now coming on to the part of Alumni Relations, we are proud to have a prominent and distinguished Alumni Network. As you all can see in this PPT, our alumni do help us out in every possible manner. Alumni are vital to the ongoing success of higher education institutions, programs, fundraisers, and communities. Our alumni base has outshined with flying colors in innumerable areas. They tend to be our mentors during our fieldwork stint, which Ananya talked about, and thus it places more attention to our work during the fieldwork internships. It creates a major impact as we get an introduction towards the functioning of the organization, and in the end, we'll separate the TISSians from the rest. Latest addition to the CHRO cohort is Ms. Savita Shivshankar, who has been recently appointed as CHRO of Asian Paints. Our alumni base is evenly spread in various reputed organizations across the sectors. These are some of the names that you all can witness. They continue to willingly help us out in grave circumstances as well. Next slide, please. So TISS, let me give a brief about the life at TISS. TISS, being a public research university, focuses on dissertation and appreciates research-based knowledge and curriculum. And therefore, it is also a unique aspect about the institute that it emphasizes on multidisciplinary and interdisciplinary ideas. It is a social science research institution, and therefore you will get to blend the concepts from different courses as you will form networks with the students from other social sciences background. Let me give a brief about the committees so that you have an idea about them when you get admitted to the institute. These are the committees that you can look for so that you enhance your creative spirit and enhance your event management skills. HRM and LR Forum promotes competitive spirit and knowledge sharing by organizing summits, conclaves, and the annual management and cultural fest, which is a big name named Manthan. HRM and LR Forum will also enhance the academic rigor of TISS through guest lectures, roundtable conferences with industry experts, giving the students a taste of industry expectations and trends. Now coming on to the editorial committee of HRM and LR, it is actually a committee which focuses on and is mandated to publish the annual business HR journal named as Kaustubam for Center of Human Resource Management and Labor Relations at TISS Mumbai. Now, Kaustubam is the exclusive journal in the HR space, resplendent in the swarm of ideas from the industry stalwarts, icons of management academia, and young entrants of the HR fraternity. TISS HRM LR Alumni Committee is another committee which navigates the relationship between the current students of their course and the alumni base. It keeps the track about the achievement of our alumni and conducts interactive sessions with them on a regular basis. Now, to know more about the Aspirant Relations Committee, I would request Ananya to share the insights.
Yeah, sure, Mani, I'll do that. So I'm a part of the Aspirants Relations Committee, which is the official PR and branding committee of our course Hrm and Lr at TISS Mumbai. Now, we actually help aspirants in their preparation journey. We also manage their induction and onboarding once you officially join the course. Plus, we have multiple initiatives running on our social media handles to help you get more idea about life at the rate TISS and get a better understanding of what it would look like once you join TISS. So that's about the ARC.
Next slide, please. Now, if we talk about the industry exposure, we get the industry exposure first through the fieldworks. Second, through the leadership talks, which is a part of our course curriculum. And third, through the alumni networks and through the alumni committee's efforts by bringing on the industry stalwarts and the alumni base of TISS itself. Next slide, please. Now we come on to this. Now we get on to the selection procedure. So here we'll talk about the fundamentals to keep in mind such that you can crack the exam. So here we can see that it has been shown in the diagram that there would be a stage 1, which is known as TISSNET. So TISSNET, what is TISSNET? TISSNET is a computer-based formal screening test that TISS conducts for all its master's program, not only for HRM and LR, but for all its master's program across all its campuses. It is basically a 100-minute test wherein we have to attempt 3 sections named mathematics and logical reasoning. The second is verbal ability and reading comprehension. And the third one is general awareness. Then there is the second stage, which is yet to be announced and has not been finalized yet. But there would be a second stage. And after that, they would enlist a final merit list according to which the students or the aspirants would be admitted. And the exam would be conducted on 26th of Feb 2022. So next slide, please. So here is a timeline in this slide. So last day to apply for the application is 7th of Feb. And online pre-admission orientation program for reserve category students would be held on 12th and 13th of Feb. And TISSNET hall ticket, you can download it from 14th Feb to 21st of Feb. And the exam itself would be conducted on 26th Feb. And the timings are 2 p.m. to 4:30. So it would be around a 100-minute test. Next slide, please. So the tips or the TISSNET tips for last mile. So here we have to first of all understand the structure for this exam. So here there would be around 100 questions, and the time we would get is around 100 minutes. So logically, we would think that, okay, we have got 1 minute for one question, but it is not like that, because as you can see that there is English proficiency has 30 questions, mathematics and logical reasoning has 30 questions, and GK has 40 questions. So if a person attempts GK section first, which contains 40 questions, it consists of 40 questions. And if you try to solve it, if you try to complete it within 15 minutes, then you get around 85 minutes of time in your hand. So you will get a lot of time to attempt for English proficiency as well as for mathematics and logical reasoning. So 60 questions and 85 minutes. That should be your target. And try to solve GK questions within 15 minutes, because it would make your strategy more easier and more conducive for that particular environment. And there would be no negative marking. So there is 1 mark for each correct answer. And you can, even if the answer is wrong, there would be no negative marking. So that is a plus point. So you can go on with, even if you have a hint about the answer, you can go with your instinct. Now, if we talk about the sectional cutoff, to clear the TISSNET exam, what you need to remember is that there is a sectional cutoff for GK, which is 35% or 14 marks for general category, AWS, Kashmiri migrant, and armed forces, and 30% or 12 marks for OBC, non-creamy layer, and PWD category. So this is what you need to keep in your mind, that GK section is essential. Now, if we talk about TISSNET, it is common for admission to all the MA programs, not only for HRM and LR or ODCL, it is for all MA programs. So what makes the difference? GK becomes the differentiator. So GK here is the game changer. If we talk about GK, it is the game changer in TISSNET, because first of all, it has 40 questions, which has larger number of questions. And other than that, it is a section which is the make or break kind of in this exam, because if you know the answer, then you will then you will mark the correct answer. Otherwise, you can't answer that question. So you can think of the test as 60 plus 40. It would help you in time management and help you to achieve the target score. Revision is the key, especially for GK. You need to go through current affairs and all the static GK portion on a daily basis or on a weekly basis. You can also go for monthly handouts and all that stuff, which we'll talk about in the later part. So be selective about the sources you refer to. Choose a few sources which are reliable. Okay, don't be scattered and just go for all sort of sources, because the information, too much overload of information is also not correct. It will also it will mishmash the situation, and the situation can get hodgepodge. So you will not remember the particular answers for the questions. Now, maximize coverage and retention. So that is the key. Always prefer to maintain notes. Try to maintain notes nowadays itself, because the exam is nearing, and it will be beneficial for you in the end moment, or even before the exam days, before the exam. So it would be beneficial that you maintain certain notes, especially for GK. So next slide, please. So now we'll discuss about each section. Now we'll discuss the strategy for each and every section. And here we'll talk about general awareness. So this section is very important, as I already mentioned. So what is the key, or what is important in this section? So first of all, I would also like to recall that some of you might have a query with respect to filling the application form, wherein I would like to emphasize that you need to fill the preferences for the 3 choices accurately. Okay. So as you have to prepare for the further processes as well, you need to remind yourself to fill in the courses in which you are interested in a legit manner, if you have gone through the application form. So if you talk about GA section, it is a section which will play out to be the game changer. So have a habit of reading the current affairs on a daily basis. It will save a lot of time during the preparation days just before the exam. You can also go for monthly current affairs to brush up the latest developments in and around the world. It will help to grasp on to various issues within the time crunch you have. So my personal strategy was to focus more on general awareness. It may or may not work for others as well. But the reason behind this particular step was first to clear the sectional cutoff for the GA section and get as many marks as possible so that the overall score boosts. You can opt for any of the illustrious books in the market for general awareness preparation. Other than that, you may also go through various websites and YouTube channels that have a sole focus on current affairs and static GK MCQs. Try to get information from a few sources. Do not restrict yourself to one source with respect to GA. You can divide the general awareness section into 2 parts, that is static GK and current affairs part. So you can also now I'll break down the parts in general awareness. So there is polity. First of all, there is polity section. So in polity, you have to learn, or you have to study about important article numbers, schedule numbers, committees, constitutional posts such as PM, President, VP, Speaker. Then there is geography. In geography, you have to read about rivers in India and around the world, around the globe, national parks, reserves, sanctuaries, ports, border states, mountain ranges, different agro revolutions, etc. History. In the history part, I would say that you need to learn about the freedom struggle, ancient history, monuments, different socio-economic movements in and around India. And then you have to focus on current affairs. So have an idea about the current social issues as well as the issues that prevailed during the recent year. So sports is a big category, and it's a major category. So in that, news and events related to the latest developments or achievements of different sports, in essence, hockey, football, badminton, cricket, Olympics, etc. You can read about those. Social issues, you have to read about them. The questions would be around them, like the government programs and schemes, India's rank on different indices. That is also very important. So Nobel Prize and important awards or trophies within India and around the globe. These are the things which you need to remember for general awareness. This will suffice. This kind of this will break down your preparation and would suffice and would give you the appropriate strata. So now coming on to next slide, please.
Just a second, Mani. So adding on to some parts to the GA section as well, I think he has probably described about the number of, the static GK, the topics that one should cover, I think in a very effective manner. Coming on to the current affairs part, remember that for current affairs, you have to be prepared for the past 1 year current affairs. Now, I'm sure for some of you, it might be difficult, if you're planning to start now to be able to, keep up with daily current affairs and to read in depth about daily current affairs. But so for that matter, you can, start with watching monthly compilations or reading about monthly compilation. That will give you a gist of, what happened in a summary, month-wise. Because I understand it might be difficult to actually read on now, starting from scratch and reading about what were the events that took place on a daily basis, so that you can do in that manner. So yeah, we can move to the next section now.
Now coming on to the English proficiency section, you can improve the score by giving a few mocks so that you get an idea about the kind of questions they ask. Personally, I gave a couple of mocks to understand the topics with respect to this section. Focus on the topics such as synonyms and antonyms, idioms, and word choice or sentence correction. In a sense, omitting and editing. You can improve your reading comprehension by focusing on reading interesting articles related to social issues present on the internet. If you don't have a habit to read, I would suggest that reading these articles will definitely help. But for the long run, try to incorporate the habit of reading in your life. Now, tips, or next section, please. So tips related to mathematics and logical reasoning. So what worked for me for mathematics and logical reasoning, try to be on your toes and delve deep into the questions present on the screen, as this section might prove to be the most time consuming section if not dealt appropriately. So try to focus on arithmetic topics such as average, mixture and alligation, profit and loss, simple interest and compound interest, etc. And then you can deep dive into other topics of mathematics and LR, because this will give you a base. Arithmetic will give you a base, and then you can deep dive into number series and all that, all those topics. Other than that, for mathematics, you can also start with giving a few mocks, and the difficulty of the exam is not at par with CAT or other B school entrance exams. So you can also just give a few mocks which are on a basic to which is easier to moderate level. Not the difficulty of the exam should be easier to moderate level, and that would suffice. I think you should not take on the mocks which are very difficult, because that would confuse you in the exam itself.
Yeah, adding on to what Mani mentioned, I think we have received, like we have seen some queries around people who are from non-engineering background to be scared about this section. But I think there's no need to be scared, because even if you see the website clearly mentions that for the quant section, these topics are up to the class 10th level. So, and I'm sure everybody has had maths up to that level. So I think the LOD for this section is from a easy to moderate level. And I think if you practice these chapters, you can actually do well in this section, even if you are kind of someone who's not very great with this subject. So I think there's no worry on that front much. And apart from that, when you practice the questions, focus on that. You not really have to go onto the difficult questions of that topic, because when you see the past year papers, you realize that the questions are sort of easy to moderate level. So you need to actually practice a wide variety of questions, and not really, just restrict yourself to only specific topics and only or doing only those topics in detail, because that is how that you'll understand that it's important to practice a mixed bag of questions, that you're able to cover all topics and not leave behind any topics. Yeah. So we can move ahead now.
Yes. Next slide. So general tips for the exam and preparation. Now let us get on to the general tips for TISSNET exam. So first of all, try to be calm and composed during the exam, while being in a conducive state of mind as well for any exam. Okay, not too calm and composed that you are not on your toes. So it is all about what will click your mind during the exam and what sort of questions will appear on the screen. But if a person has revised enough and gone through various practice sessions, such as attempting a lot of MCQs related to GK, then you would be able to finish off the section within 15 minutes, as it will appear in your mind. And the questions would be in resemblance to what you had practiced. So it is more about remembering the names in the back of your mind or subconsciously. So for mathematics and logical reasoning, I told you about that it is time consuming if not dealt appropriately. For English proficiency as well, try not to waste your time on a single question. If you are not able to find out the correct sequence, then try to immediately move on to the next question. Aspirants generally tend to spend a lot of time on reading comprehension. What worked for me was that I tried to skim and scan the passage while attempting the question simultaneously. So if it works for any other person, they can also try it out, but it worked for me. So some of the aspirants might have an apprehension here that would they admit a fresher into this course? Then I may provide you with the clarity that if you can amalgamate your life experiences and undergrad opportunities to the human resource management aspect, then you may share all these interesting points or these interesting point of views with the interviewers in the PI. So there should be some indicators of interest into this flagship program. And I am saying this being a fresher from a non-engineering background. So I myself am from psychology background. I'm a non-engineer. So, and also I'm a fresher. So that's all. So non-engineering students shall not think of this exam as an advantage for students from engineering background, because this exam instills a common ground for the students from each background. So it's like it has 40 questions of GK. So GK is like, if you have prepared for it, be there as it may, you are from engineering background or from non-engineering background, it is same for all. It is a common ground. So remember, one more thing to remember is that time is the key. As you have a limited amount of time, it would be more than enough to ace the exam if you're conscious about the strategy that you have placed at that particular moment. So reach the center earlier so that you can absorb the environment and your mind is ready to tackle the situation. Try to maintain composure, but be on your toes to attempt the questions with concentration. My best wishes and high regards to all the aspirants. Take some bits and pieces related to the strategy part and build your own strategy that aligns to your personality. Ananya, would you like to add on something?
Yeah, even I would like to mention about, some things that worked for me. So I think it's very essential that you go through the past year papers, and there are people who who started with their preparation without referring to the past year papers. I don't think it's a very wise thing to do, because it really helped me to get an idea with respect to how should I plan my preparation, because even if there are people who are willing to start now, it's not too late. It's actually not. But the starting point should actually be going through the past year papers, at least 4 to 5 years, and getting an understanding of the kind of questions asked in various sections. Having said that, another important thing that might really bother you is the general awareness section, and it's normal. It bothered us as well when we were preparing, because it was kind of challenging to remember things, and kind of skeptical about what would ultimately be asked for that section. But understand that it's not possible for any person to cover everything under the sun, and you don't need to. You don't have to pressurize yourself in reading everything that's out there. Understand that when you kind of read a lot and you revise a lot, so what happens is that that when you attempt the paper, you might not know the exact answer to a question, but since you've been reading and you've been in touch with the current affairs for so long, and you've read enough, that your subconscious mind automatically will hint you about what are the options which are out of context, or which does not relate to the specific question at all. So I think elimination is one thing that that really helped me as well, because honestly, I was not someone who knew the answer to each and every question. But having that mental map of that what I had read, and properly revising it kind of helped me to eliminate the wrong choices. Another general tip that I have for the English section is that many a times we tend to rely on our instincts for certain questions which are actually very rule based. For example, when we talk about questions which pertain to sentence correction, or punctuation, or identifying grammatical mistakes, so generally we tend to mark these options as what might sound correct to us, but that's actually not the right way to go about it, because these type of question has specific rules that you need to adhere to when you solve these questions, and you mark the answers for the same. So when you go about the past year papers and you identify these topics, so my advice would be to actually practice exercises on these kind of questions, which actually have proper rules and logic behind them to do these questions. And apart from that, I'd say that that yes, there is that revision is the key, and you have to keep revising. The pace of revision might be different for different people. Somebody would want to come back to their sources in a week's time, or somebody would want to revise on a fortnight basis. So there's no one standard that might be applicable to everyone. And yes, again, mocks help you a lot. Now we see questions regarding how many mocks that one must attempt, but honestly there's no right number to the mocks that you attempt, because the reason behind attempting mocks is that it's helped you to identify your strength areas, or your weak areas, or if you're able to manage time effectively, or if you're not able to manage time effectively, what where are you getting stuff that you need to improve upon. So please do not take mocks as in an entire replicate of what will you that you will get in your exam, or that practicing enough mocks means that are good to go for the exams. Understand the rationale behind doing mocks is to be able to identify these areas. And in addition to this, I'd also like to point out that generally we tend to focus only upon our weak areas, like when you will go through the mocks, etc. So definitely these mocks will help you to identify which are the sections that you're kind of lacking in, and obviously you will be practicing and working upon that. But another thing that I think one should not miss out while practicing mocks is identifying also your strength areas, because if you see, it's actually you have to be on your toes for this exam, keeping that it's 100 minutes and it's 100 questions. So you have to be very prompt in choosing questions that you can know that you can solve in one go. So when you practice mocks, be also cognizant of the fact that you're able to identify your strength areas, and you start with these areas, and you're able to grab maximum marks on these. And needless to say, there is no negative marking, which is I think like the biggest savior. Please use this judiciously and mark the answer to each and every question, because you're not being penalized for any wrong answer that you give. So here, please make use of your guesswork, your instincts, because at times we might not remember each and everything, but subconsciously we've been preparing and reading a lot. These things help you to get to the right answer. Next slide. Okay, so we understand that even post the webinar, you will have queries and you will want to reach out to us for specific doubts. And we are readily available on our social media handles. Please join our official Facebook groups, which is in the name of TISS HRM and LR Aspirants, the official group. You can post your queries there with respect to any application related queries you have or preparation related queries that you have till all the stages are over. In addition to that, we also have an initiative going on, Quiztopia, in which we post 6 questions daily, 2 from each of the sections, that is the quant section, the English section, and the GK section, which would also give you a rough idea about the kind of questions you can expect, for the exam. By no way it's an exact replicate of that you get in the exam, but it will help you to get an idea of the kind of questions asked. So I think now we can move directly to the Q&A section, and please feel free to write your queries in the chat box. Okay, so I see one question that it's really hard to cover one-year current affairs. So like I just mentioned that that it's okay for starting now, and you can't really go through each and everything that happened on a daily basis. That's why monthly compilations come to the rescue, which give you a summary of what happened month-wise. Because see, honestly, I know it's difficult, but you can't leave either the static part or the current affairs part. You have to be prepared with both. So try to identify smart areas that you can get an idea, and still maybe if you do not have so much time, you're struggling with that, you can go through summaries for the month. Yeah.
Yes, it is not possible for any of us to collate and remember all the stuff going on since the past year and since 1 year. So therefore you can go for monthly handouts, which are present in various websites as well as on various YouTube channels as well. That would suffice. Other than that.
Okay, so there's one question regarding weightage of profile in TISS. So let me tell you, there is no special weightage for any sort of profile here. Everybody stands an equal chance if you're able to talk about your interest properly, justify your inclination for pursuing this course. There's no specific weightage to any sort of profile. And honestly, if we talk about our batch, so our batch is a mix of people from all diverse backgrounds, even with people with work ex, freshers. For example, Mani is a fresher. I'm someone who has had a work ex of 1 year. So that way, there's no one particular profile that has an advantage here in terms of your selection. Okay, so another question with respect to, are the past year papers available on the website? The answer is no. On our official website, you won't really find the past year papers, but the catch is that we all use Google and we all know how to surf. So you will find memory-based papers available on other sources. You can go through the same.
There is another question, like around what % is this current affairs in general awareness section? So it is not at all fixed that this particular section would be of that much of percentage, but yes, you have to focus on both static as well as current affairs, and accordingly you can give your personal choice should be the leader here, so you can give weightage to both.
All right, so I think a lot of people are facing some application related issues. For that, you can reach out to the TISSCare mail ID, and there's also a TISSCare contact number. I think once you join the official aspirants group, we can probably write the exact email and the phone number there. So for all application related, queries that you're facing in terms of payment issues, etc., you can directly reach out to the admin. They're very approachable people, and they will help you solve all these application related queries. Also, I think I see multiple doubts regarding other courses. So right now, we are only you can only answer questions which are under the purview of our course, which is Human Resource Management and Labor Relations. So please ask questions on the same. There's one question around that there are 4 internships. What kind of work can we expect? So since it's a specialized human resource management course only, so though we have companies from various sectors, like I just mentioned, manufacturing, FMCGs, or technology, or startups, conglomerates, etc. But the role that you get eventually is in the domain of HR only. So yeah, like you can get to do various sub functions under HR. That is not any specific, but the roles that you're placed to eventually are human resource roles only.
There are various live projects as well. So you can also expect like a project on cultural transformation, or building employee engagement or employee retention strategy. So these are the kind of projects which you might expect.
So Akansha has asked whether Quiztopia is given on all projected social media platforms or just Facebook. So this Quiztopia initiative takes place on our Facebook group and on Pagal Guy, both these platforms. No, there's no official test series that TISS releases. There's one question regarding if anyone starts preparing now, can he or she clear it money? If you want to take up that question.
Yes, sure. So this is an apprehension for most of the people, that if they start to prepare within 1 month, so would they be able to crack the exam? So here I would like to suggest you that, okay, now you have in your mind that you have lost that much that amount of time. So now you can only focus on the strategy part, like the monthly handouts for GK section, or general awareness, current affairs. So you can focus on the static GK portion, which I emphasized on. So you can just hold on to those kind of questions or those topics. So just hold on to those, and just go on with various multiple choice questions, so that if you just give a lot of mocks, that would suffice. I think going through all the topics, just sticking around all these topics which I discussed before, like in the polity section, giving emphasis on geography, history, all these sections are important, and therefore you would be able to get a very good score in GK. And as GK is the game changer, you would be able to score a high. You would be able to score high in Testnet. Other than that, for mathematics and logical reasoning, what I would suggest is that you can just practice a few basic questions from all the chapters, like all the topics. Don't just take around one topic or one chapter and go into depth. Just try to get an overview. Just try to get a hold onto the formulas and onto the basic concept regarding that particular topic. So that would be sufficient for this particular exam, Testnet. Other than that, for English proficiency, I would suggest just going through certain articles, and going through certain interesting articles related to social issues would also help, because at that particular time you need to have a speed in your reading. So you should have a speed. So that would be sufficient for English proficiency as well. So this is the kind of strategy which you can follow. Yeah, 1 month for 1 month is enough if you would strategize it accordingly and focus on a few topics and stick on them and just give your best.
Yeah, I think I definitely agree. It's doable if you strategize it in the right manner. And so going through the past year papers and really identifying what sort of topics that you need to target if you have less time would really be beneficial at this point of time, because it's understandable if you can't cover everything right now. So you have to be smart with your preparation with respect to what selective choices that you make right now. So I think it's doable if you really strategize it accordingly and prepare a proper timeline and a timetable for yourself and stick to it on a daily basis, because just thinking about it and procrastinating might not really help since we have less time. So a proper schedule and sticking to that schedule would really help. Now,
And
a lot
I
of people,
think,
yeah, sorry, go ahead.
and I think that here comes the role of past year papers, past year question papers. So if you have less time, then you shall start with looking or just analyzing the past year question papers related to all the sections, and then you can accordingly decide that which are the topics and what are the sort of topics which are coming regularly in the exam and which they ask usually. And according to that, you can just think of, okay, I have to focus on this particular section, I have to delve into current affairs, and they ask about environment or politics or what, so you have to figure it out on yourself. So it is like that.
Since all of you are very curious about what sources, what exact sources, but I think we've clearly broken down to very easy in a very easy format for you. We've told you about the topics that you should expect in the exam. So it's not about any best source that will cover everything, but like we just mentioned that about the topics that we mentioned for static GK. So you can find your source that covers those topics. Understand that aspect is more important. It's not about the best source that's there that will help you cover everything, but really identifying what topics are asked and then going to a source to practice. And I think this applies for every section. I think Mani will agree that it's important to identify topics and chapters that are there as part of the exam, and then looking for a source, rather than looking for a source and then thinking that it's the best thing and you should cover everything under it. So that way, I think you should follow a reverse strategy. Just a personal suggestion. For if you have doubts regarding other programs, so I think you can visit the website and you can get your program specific information under various schools that we have on the website. So that will provide you an in-depth the thing that you're looking for on the website under various programs and courses. If you have any other doubts, I think you can post it. Otherwise, we can wrap it in another, I think, 5 to 6 minutes. There's one question: is it possible for an aspirant with gap years to get into the course? I think definitely yes. Your selection process is not hampered. Your chances are not hampered by the fact that if you have gap years in your profile. Like I'd like to reiterate that in our batch itself, we've had people with gap years, but they performed exceedingly well in TISSNET, and they proved their worth in the interview too. So it's only about how well are you able to talk about your life journey and depict your interest for the course that you're applying to be able to and showcase your genuine interest and knowledge for that subject and program. So that way gap years are not at all an issue. I think this is asked by Shreya.
Yes, if gap year is an issue, then you just need to justify it. It's like you have to just talk about what you had learned during that particular year, or if there are more than 2 years, then you can talk about that I was in a certain, I was learning about certain stuff. So that all you can learn about, and you have to amalgamate it with human resource management. So you have to look at it through that perspective.
With respect to the number of mocks, so personally, I took around 5 to 6 mocks, but it's subjective to one's preparation and the kind of mocks that you need to identify your weak areas, your strength areas, and to work upon time management. So it's totally a subjective choice, but personally, I took around 5 to 6 mocks. Mani, what about you, if you would want to mention?
Yes, I also took around 4 to 5 mocks with respect to TISSNET. So it gave me a brief idea about how the topics are and how I have to focus, or how I have to choose certain questions and have to focus on my weakness part, or my, another thing. We generally do focus on our weaknesses, but we do not focus on our strength. So try to think of your strength as well, try to find it out, analyze it, and then accordingly push back, and just know about your strength, and the questions which would arise during the test net, you will be able to solve those questions which are from your strength part. That would be like that would be a piece of cake for you. So do not only focus on your weakness part, try to also focus on your strength. That would help you a lot during the exam.
All right, so I think we've covered most of the queries, and needless to say, we'll still be available for your queries post the webinar. Also, if you have missed out the part that we had covered with respect to each section specific query, so this webinar will be recorded and will be uploaded here itself, so you can get back to it and listen to it to if you haven't been able to jot down the topics that we mentioned about. So I think that's that. Apart from that, all the best for your exam, and do reach out to us on our social media handles and follow us, since we post about regular updates with respect to the TISSNET exam and even about the upcoming stages that you will have. So that way you can be updated. And yeah, that's it from my side.
So my best wishes to all the folks and all the aspirants.
All right, so thank you so much.
Thank you so much.